Welcome to Fearless, Inspired, and Free. This is Dana Wright. I'm your host, as always. And, it's been quite some time. I had taken a little bit of a hiatus, and I always wait until I have a guest that kind of touches my spirit. And so I don't rush. I mean, I know initially for the podcast, I started off and they were weekly just about. And it's because I was starting off and I had talked to a lot of people and gotten a lot of people lined up. But now I feel like I wanted it to be more organic. So if I run into someone and it's never by chance, because I'm a firm believer in energy, then I go ahead and we talk, we meet, and I then have a show to present to everyone. So this week, I have a guest who her story is phenomenal. Auristela Nunez.
Yes.
Did I do it right? Did I do it right?
Yes. Thank you. Which, by the way, my name Auristela means golden star.
Golden Star. And isn't that fitting? And you will find out from listening to her story. So she's also known in the hip hop community as Lady Champ. Yes. She truly does have a heart of a champion. She is a mother of two beautiful young adults and has done it all from dancing around the world, large-scale performances, public speaking, event planning, and fundraising for her community, music videos, and magazine shoots. So quite the exciting life. It's just, not many people can say they've done that. So breakdancing since the early 90s. Lady Champ was one of the few women in a male-dominated arena. And everyone who listens to my show knows that I love a woman in a male-dominated field, and I love to see them overcome, and I love to see them do great things. So she's in a male-dominated arena. She has been the subject of many publications, including a documentary called All the Ladies Say. After years of dancing, traveling, and teaching, in 2007, Lady Champ found herself paralyzed suddenly from not just the waistline, it was like from the diaphragm, just kind of like mid there. And doctors said she would never walk again. Lady Champ, having that champion spirit as she did, defied odds, fought hard, and overcame paralysis. She has gone on to continue to teach and organize events for youth to give them a safe space to express themselves and their creativity. You can also find Lady Champ co-hosting on Windy City Wednesdays with Miguel Arteaga on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And so, I mean, with an intro like that, we are in for a ride, because you would think with an intro like that, Lady Champ's in her 90s. Lady Champ has lived a lifetime. It's all condensed into this a short time. So I can't imagine what is next and what the future holds. First I need to tell everybody how this meeting by chance, which I say is not by chance, came to be. I believe, energy, like I said, matches energy. And I had on my Fearless, Inspired, and Free t-shirt. And I was just out and about running errands and, just doing my thing. And so I never go to the bank and I always go to the ATM. Anything that I can just pull up, get done, and do, I'm your girl. I'm not a walk-in. I'm not about to be filling out a bunch of forms. And like, if I can get it from the ATM, but for some reason I needed a certain, like, different bills. I don't know what it was. 20 just wasn't going to cut it. So anyway, I go into the bank. I have on my Fearless, Inspired, and Free t-shirt. It's like my face plastered on my shirt. And so the young lady who is helping me at the counter, the teller, she's so sweet. She's like, "Oh, is that you?" And I'm Like, yes. I'm like, it is me. I said, isn't it just bizarre to have someone walk in, they have a picture of themselves on their t-shirt? I said, but it's for my podcast. And she's like, oh, and so she's doing her thing and she's making small talk. And she says, well, what is the podcast about? And I said, well, it's for women. I love to hear their stories. I love to hear their triumphs. And I just feel like every woman has a story. And so often we hear from, these huge celebrities, and that's great. And I love that they are doing well in life too. But everyday women that we walk past, that we work with, has a story, and I want to hear them. She said, oh my God, then you definitely want to hear the story of my coworker. She is
Oh,
amazing. And I said, I do. And she said, yes. She's like, you have to hear it. And she's so tough and she's so resilient. And then she got paralyzed. And then, she, didn't really tell me, but it was intriguing enough. And I was like, what? Sounds like a lot going on. What is going on? So she said, you got to hear from her. And I said, well, listen, this is my handle at Fearless, Inspired, and Free Podcast. Tell her to send me a message. And I'd love to hear her story. And then maybe we can just jump on and talk about it. So I told her, thank you so much for your help. And I walk out. And I really don't, I'm like, a lot of people make small talk because it's friendly. It's the thing to do. And I wasn't sure. And so I was like, okay. And a couple days later, I get an inbox from this guest. And I'll have to say, it was a minute before I responded, right? I don't think I responded right away. I saw it, and how you think in your mind, you did say something, and you're like,
yeah.
so I think in my mind I did. I'm like, very cool. Like the young lady did give the message. And so I was like, all right. So then I go back a few more days later. I'm like, oh man. So I'm like, oh my God, you can think it, but you got to put it down on paper. You got to like type it, Dana. And so I send her a note back and we go back and forth. And then finally we get together because I'm always running around. You're always running around. You're busy too. And so
Yeah.
we were talking. Oh, I was on the trip and I was driving and I was going from one property to the next. And I said, hey, I got some time. You want to talk? And so we finally connected. So the stars aligned and made it so easy for us. I mean, we had a good conversation. We laughed.
Yes.
And here we are. So I'm excited. I know the story a little bit, but I'm sure I'm going to learn some new things as we talk. And so let's get started. So pretty much I told everybody the gist, but first tell us a little bit about you, but I want to know about young person you. I want to know where it all began because when we talked, you told me a little bit about your youth, your childhood, and kind of your motivation. But let's learn a little bit about you and how you came to be.
I was an interesting little kid. I like to watch and learn everything. So I used to pick locks because I used to watch the movies. I used to try to dance because I seen people dancing. Always having fun in the neighborhood. I did fight a lot though. I was always fighting. Don't ask me why. Later I came out. I figured out why I was always fighting. But yeah, I was always fighting. But still a fun little kid. It's weird, but yeah, I grew up in a good times when kids were all outside. Nobody was inside. We were all outside having fun. So
And life used to be fun. We used to play outside for hours. In our era, when we were coming up, we'd be gone all day. No one was really worried about us because we were out in the neighborhood having fun with our friends. And I do remember you saying there's just kind of like this anger there and this fight in you. And that can be a good thing. I often say that I know that's frowned upon and people say, why are you so angry? I had an angry period growing up too. I don't quite know why I was so angry or, lashed out a little bit, but I guess we all might go through that for different reasons and you have yours. But I think that fight kind of lends to everything going forward in your life. And it sounds like even though you had that fight, you began to then channel it and use it to do something that kind of gave you a release. And let's talk about how you were watching the dancing and it was mostly the guys. Well, it was all guys, you know, basically. And you're like, I want to do that. I want to do that
Yeah.
dancing. And you know, I'm so interested in this breakdancing because I had a cousin, well, two cousins, they were brothers, Dean and Scott. And Dean was
Hey.
an excellent break dancer when we were coming up. Excellent. I mean, the kid would carry around his cardboard. We were
Yep.
ice skating. We had ice skating classes, and he wasn't into ice skating, but like our moms made his brother Scott, me, my sister do ice skating. So it's so funny. We'd be in there doing our ice shows and our ice skating. We come out, and there'd be this big crowd. And this kid has a crowd watching him while he does his breakdance, and his mom will be wanting to pick him up by the collar, like, "What are you doing? Making all this noise out here?" But he was such a good breakdancer. So I do know it was a lot of guys. I would
Yeah.
never have tried to do it. But you did. You did. So tell me, what was the force? What was pulling you to that?
So in 1985, because my dad and my mom had separated, so we would go to New York to stay with my dad for the summer and then come back to Chicago. So I remember my aunts took us to the bodega with them, to the store, the grocery store. And as we're walking back home, on the corner, there was some kids on cardboard and they were breaking. And I don't know what they were doing, but it looked so amazing to me. So I stopped walking. My aunt grabs me and pulls my hand and she said, "Come on, they're bad kids." And I was like, "But they're not bad. They're just dancing, like you could tell they were dancing." So she pulls me away and it just stood in my head. So when I came back to Chicago, my cousins were breaking at that time. So I remember they had a cardboard on the corner of Sawyer and North Avenue. And I was just sitting there like this. And I was like, "Teach me, please teach me how to dance." And they were like, "Get out of here. You're a girl." And I was like, "But I can do it. I know I can. Just teach me." And they were like, "Get out of here." So I just walked away. I would dance with the neighborhood kids, but we didn't know what we were doing. So I was dancing like house music and all that stuff. And then in the 90s, when breaking came back, it was a wrap. I was like, no one can tell me no. And that's when I met my crew.
When you met your crew. So tell me how does this, because you got to break it down for us. Like we are like the non-break dancer. We are not in this at all. So now you're old enough to be able to kind of be a little bit more defiant and kind of say, I like this. I want to do this.
Yes.
And it's funny you should say your aunt was like, those are bad kids, but they were just dancing. But
Yeah.
it's funny how the labels that get placed and things like that. And maybe they were bad kids, but guess what? At that moment in time, they were channeling their energy and they were battling one another and things like that. And so tell me about it. So now you're old enough. Now you're like, you know what? I'm making a decision. I'm making an executive decision about my life here. And how old were you about that time where you formulated your crew?
I was about 15 or 16. But before I met them, I was house dancing and I was competing. I would battle guys everywhere. I was going everywhere. And I was like, I'm going to battle your crew, your crew, your crew. Cause I was pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
Yes,
I was
yes.
really good. So I went to a high school dance at my crew's high school because I didn't go there. And I was battling one of the top crews at that time. And it was just me against two guys. And they saw me and they were like, "Oh my God, you're amazing. Oh my God, this, and that." And my friend knew them. So then I saw them breaking and I was like, "Oh my God, we have to hang out." I want to learn. I have to learn. They were like, "Yeah, yeah." And they always tell me, "We knew you had it in you because we saw what you did before you were breaking. We saw you were competitive. We saw that you were hungry. We saw that you were good. You weren't just like average or, I'm just a girl." They were like, "You were good. You were smoking guys that were amazing at that time, house music." So that's why they were like, "Yep, she's in."
You started with house music and kind of battling that way, but in the back of your mind, the seeds have been planted when you were a little girl and with no autonomy, no ability to say, I want to stay, I want to,
Yeah.
but it just stayed with you and kind of sat there. And then you're 15, 16 years old, and it kind of bubbles up in you again because this crew says, you know what, you got some heart there. And you know,
Mhm.
you were over here showing these guys up a little bit, you know, let's see what you got. So then what
Yep.
happens? What do you guys do from there?
So then I start coming to the practices, and they really didn't like teach me, like hold my hand and we're like, this is how you do this. They were like, you gotta watch and learn. And I was like, oh. But lucky as a kid, I used to watch and learn things, and that's how I kind of like pick things up. So it took me a while because I was like, man, that's hard. I don't have an idea. And now that I'm older, now that I know how to do everything, I'm like, there's like math to it, there's balance to it, there's like science to this, there's actual, like, you can do a head spin with balance and control, but you don't know that when you don't know how to do a head spin. um so I just had to watch and learn and figure out, like, oh, if I turn my arms like this and I whip my leg, I can do a windmill, like you can start figuring things out. But if they had helped me, like walk me through it, like hold my hand, I would have been a lot better, a lot faster. But it took me a little while to get there just because I had to watch and learn. But it comes in handy later when I'm paralyzed.
So it sounds like, you know, a lot of people would have liked this formal introduction and this, you know, help with, you know, kind of choreographing the steps or showing you how step by step to do it. But almost like baptism by fire, really. They're just like, you know what? We see you have the grit. We see you have the basics, you know, you have it. Now it's up to you if you want this. So do you think that was basically a test for them saying, you know what, we welcomed you in, like you got to show that you want to be here, or you know, or was it
No,
just their style to say, you know what, go for it, like
I
this.
think it was just their style because I don't remember them even teaching each other basically. And they're guys, I figured that they would teach each other, and they were just like, well, pick it up, and then when they see that I would pick it up, they were like, okay, okay, now start working on this, this is called a flare, this is how you do it. And then they just walked away, and I was like, oh, okay. I know that they went like this, so let me try this, and try on error until I figured it out.
So it's really just like you said, keep trying, keep bettering yourself, keep doing the move, keep doing repetition, basically. So it's like
Practice makes perfect.
repetition, practice makes perfect. And I saw a
And
video
that's one
where you're
thing
talking to kids and you told them that.
I always tell kids and adults. I'm like, you want to excel in, marketing, practice makes perfect, study everything you can, work on it over and over again. If you fail, continue, work on a different strategy. Like I come at people all the time, like, no excuses. Don't tell me that, oh, I tried this and I can't. Well, try another way. Figure it out.
Figure it out, figure it out. And that you did. So now you're in this crew. And I guess, do you just start, is that when you're traveling around the country?
No,
Oh,
no, it's
oh,
funny because
what's
it happens
next?
way later.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So
So
what,
so
so what happens with this crew, and tell us.
so during that time, me and my kid's dad, which is also in the crew, I got pregnant. I was a young teenage mom. I got pregnant at 16 and had her at 17. And so I had my daughter, and I'm coming out in music videos. I'm coming out of magazines. At that time, that was a big deal because there was no internet. I mean, internet was just like kind of starting for us. It wasn't like the way it is now that you're everywhere. But I was everywhere here because I was on the box. I don't know if you remember the box music television you control when you used to order videos. So people would order videos at all times of day and night. And I would get phone calls like, you're on TV. Oh my God. And I was like, at first, I was like, that's amazing. And then I was like, please stop calling me. I know. I was on magazines. Like people would be like, oh my God, sign this magazine for me. You're on the magazine. Oh my God, it's a big deal. I was on like shows, like, little things here and there. And that was a big deal for those times. And just got older and older, and not until I didn't start traveling until probably like 1999. We took a trip to Cincinnati. That one has a really sad story to it though. We took a trip. We drove to Cincinnati, Ohio, me and the guys, and it was for there's a big battle that used to go on every year. Uh, it's a famous battle. I forgot the name of it, But we went to this battle, and I was hungry and I was kind of tired, and the sun was beaming on me all day. Told my kids, Dad, let's go have some lunch or something. Okay, cool. Because this event was like kind of in the middle of nowhere, even though it's Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
So me, him, and one of the guys of the crew, we go to eat in this restaurant, and we come in, and the lady doesn't sit us. So I'm like, I guess we gotta sit ourselves. We sit ourselves. Remember, this is 1999. We sit ourselves, and she sits everybody else that comes after us. So she's serving, getting their order ready, and I'm like, look at her like, yo, like we've been here, you know. So she would look at me, and then she would walk up to this guy, an older guy, and you could tell she was asking him. He would look, and he was like, nope, nope. And I was like, if she doesn't come over here, I'm gonna go over there and tell her to come over here. So my kid's dad looks up. He opens his eyes so wide. He goes, let's go. And I was like, no, that's not right. He's like, let's go. He goes, look at the sign. I don't know how we missed the sign, but the sign said we do not serve colors. They did not serve us at all. We ended up having to leave. 1999.
Holy
1999.
cow. Are you
Scribble
kidding?
Jam. That was the name of the event. Scribble Jam. It was a big famous event. I cried. I cried not only for me that day, of course, but I cried for all the struggles that everyone went through with the racism through their whole lives, even especially in the 50s and 60s. I cried for everyone. I cried for just generations, souls of generations. I was like, wow, and this is nothing. What I felt that day was just a small portion. The struggles that everyone went through that was so much bigger. I just cried and not just cry like I was like crying, like crying.
Yeah.
It was horrible. We didn't call the news or the police because there was even a cop in there too. We didn't call anybody. We just were like mind blown, you know?
Yeah, and of course you would miss a sign like that. Who's looking for, that kind of negativity? You're on this high, you're at your show, you're, trying to grab something to eat. I mean, who would have thought in 1999 you would come across a place, but the sad reality is it's a reality. And so
Yeah.
so he got you out of there, huh?
Yeah. So he's like, let's get out of here. And I was like, no, because I refused to leave, but he was like, let's just go, I don't want no problem. So we left. And as soon as I got home is when I cried. I didn't cry then because I was still like, I guess, processing it. I mean, it's 1999, but I went home and I just cried. And when I tell you that I cried, I didn't like, I was like, and I was just thinking of, what worse struggles even people went through in life, and even the videos that you see that you feel hurt and you cry about. It was just horrible, horrible, horrible. But yeah, that was like one of our big events besides Indiana or like Wisconsin or like that. It was fun, but besides that part, it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, what a bummer. I
Yeah.
mean, throws a little damper on things. And so that's 1999, and hopefully the travels got better through the years and you didn't have to experience such ugliness. But again, something that you probably tucked down to kind of build up your resilience and, build you up. And but also a solemn reminder that there's so much more work to do and so much work to be done in that way. So so you continue to be in your battles and you're moving on. And so that was in 99. And so what did you do from 99 to 2007 when we get into this space where now something has happened, you get this illness and it's going to change your life. So what did you do up until that point?
So I'm just throwing events and traveling. I'm traveling, I'm judging competitions, I'm speaking on panels, and just traveling. And it was so fun and it was amazing. And then I'm in 2006, right before that happened, I was breaking and I was training to go pro as a boxer. I met my boxing teacher, Berili Capico, at Exports. And he saw my hat, it said champion, and he was like, this is a sign, because he saw how I was like, can you teach me how to do this? He's like, yeah. But he saw I was there every day. He saw I was going in every day. I mean, I was doing anything he said, I was doing it because I know that's what he masters in. So I was learning from the master. And then I pinched a nerve. So I was limping for 2 weeks from boxing. And then I was like, man, if I box like this and I pinch a nerve, I can't break, you know? And then if I can't break, like that's crazy. So I was like, let me just pull back on the boxing a little bit. So I just pulled back, even though if you've never boxed, anybody who listens to this, if you've never boxed, you have to try it because it's a stress reliever. It's you feel so strong, you powerful, you look amazing. I mean, I had cuts on my arms, but that's from breaking also. Cuts on my arms, cuts on my legs. I had 6-pack. I mean, I was looking fly. So then
I'm just trying to figure out. So, like, to me, just listening to you, like, whatever you do, you go hard. Like, you don't halfway do anything, do you?
well, if you're gonna go in and it's something that you like or interests you, you have to go all the way. Like,
You got to go all the way.
yeah.
You're like excelling and breaking, which is to me is so hard. I mean, anyone who's ever watched it, the control you have to have in your core and the strength, to do, to get invert yourself, all those
Yep.
things, like you said early on, take a lot of practice, a lot of time. It's a mental thing. I don't think people realize how much you got to think in order to do some of that stuff. And I mean, and once you get it, I guess you're free flowing and things like that for creative reasons. However, there is a control about that, dance that has to be present. So you're doing that, and then you get into boxing, you're, really, owning that, so much so that you pinched a nerve because you must be really paying attention. I mean, so it sounds like you get into things and you really, really, really do them. And all of this is happening, and you're a single mom. And I am the single mom lover as well, because I was a single mom myself for a long time. And so I just understand how hard that can be. So being a
Yeah.
mom is hard, and being a woman, female in the breaking game is hard. And then you're boxing. And so in 2006, you said you kind of hurt yourself a little bit with that and decided to pull back a little bit. Okay. And then what's going on now?
So April 2007 comes around, and this is bizarre because I was going to turn 31 that year, and I used to work at Costco, and I told the HR lady, I was like, can I retire at the age of 31? And she's like, no. And I was like, well, Jay-Z did it, so I can. And she was like, well, he's rich. And I was like, well, I can get rich, and I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm like, man, I have to retire by the age of 31. And I was 30. So April 2007 comes around, and I'm getting weird little symptoms. I guess I'm not noticing them. So I used to go to this place in Chicago called Sub T. It's a legendary hip hop and reggae spot. Every Tuesday was hip hop night. So me and my best friend Tech, we used to be there like religiously every Tuesday. And one Tuesday he picked me up, and I had a headache. It went from my temple, my right temple, and it went down my spinal cord, and it gave me chills.
Mm.
And we used to like break. So I told him, I can't break today. Something's wrong. And he knew something was wrong because it's not like me. So he's like, yeah, something's wrong because this is not like you. So he took me home. I went home, and I remember that night I was sleeping and it kept itching my tummy. And I was like, but I kept sleeping, and I was itching, and I was like, that's weird. Maybe I got bit by a spider or a mosquito or something. I don't know. And I never get sick. I don't get sick. I'm always so healthy. So I didn't go to the doctor. The next day I went to work, and I'm talking to the HR lady, and I was sitting next to her because that's where my desk was. And I'm talking to her and I'm itching. She's like, did you take a shower today? And I was like, duh, I take a shower every morning before I come to work. She was like, well, why are you itching? And I was like, why am I itching? So at the same time, I was a vault clerk and auditor. So I go into the vault, and I had a shirt under my shirt. So I take off one of the shirts. There was hives everywhere. I took off my shoe, and there was hives on my feet. I pulled up my pants. There was hives on my legs, but there was none on my face. And I don't have allergies. So I ran outside, and I was like, what's happening? And everybody was like, you have allergies. And one of the managers, he was like, I have really bad allergies. I have a pill. Do you want one? So I took the pill, went away. Didn't think nothing of it. The next day, I was walking, and it felt like I was walking on really hot sand. And so my feet hurt, and I didn't want to walk. And I was like, it hurts. Everything hurts. So I went to my mom's house, and my stepdad, he adores me. He went to rub my feet, and I screamed so loud, and he started crying, and I was like, I'm sorry, you said my feet hurt. I don't know what's going on. So I went home, brushed it off because I never get sick, didn't go to the doctor. The next day, when I was going to work at Costco, I was walking to work, and as I was walking, my feet were dragging. I wasn't walking like a regular walk. My feet were dragging. So I get to my desk, and I'm the one that when you come to work, I'm like, hi, good morning, hello, everyone, hi, hi. So I'm just sitting there, and people are walking in, and every single person was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I don't know. My manager came in, and she's like, what's wrong with you? I was like, I don't know, but I think I'm gonna go to the hospital. She said, go, because this is not you. So I'm walking to my car. At this point, I'm dragging harder than before I walked in. So I get in the car. I can't move my legs really. So I grab my hand, my leg with my leg with my arms, my feet. I mean my legs with my hands, and I'm lifting my hands, and I'm putting the foot on the brake and the gas, and the car's going, and this is how I get to the hospital. I get to the hospital. I have to hold on to the wall to get to the ER. So I'm in the ER, and he takes blood and urine, and I think they closed his hospital too, by the way. He's like, oh, it's nothing, it's just allergies. You just go home and it'll go away. And I was like, I can't move my legs. They're not swollen. That's not normal. He's like, I think it's worse, just come back. So he sends me home.
Oh no.
And I have to walk from the ER back to the car. At
Oh,
this point, I don't even know how I did it. I don't know how I did it. I don't. I was so weak at that time.
you're
So
determined.
once again, yes, I drove to my house. At the time, my brother was my roommate, and I'm parked in the front, and he comes from work. And I was like, oh, hey, can you come help me? He's like, come on. And I was like, no, 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 I need your help. He's like, what do you mean you need my help? I go, I can't get out the car. He's like, what do you mean you can't get out the car? So we opened the door. He grabs me out. So I put my arm around his shoulder. He lifts me up, and I'm dragging my feet. I'm not even moving my feet at this time. I'm dragging my feet. I don't know how we get upstairs. And then at this time too, my feet hurting really bad. And I noticed I wasn't using the bathroom. And my kid's dad was gonna drop them off. So I said, hey, when you drop off the kids, can you take me to a different hospital? He's like, yeah, just come down. And I was like, you're gonna have to come up and get me. He's like, what do you mean? And I was like, just when you come here, just come up. And lucky he had his brother with him. So they got there, they had to literally lift me, one on each side, took me into the car, left me at the ER. When they left me at the ER, they take me in right away because they're like, this doesn't make sense. So the lady was like, my stomach is hurting so bad at this point. She's like, can I do a pap smear? And I was like, yeah, of course, sure. She does a pap smear. She starts screaming, I need an MRI, I need a CAT scan, I need a catheter. She looks at me, she's like, when was the last time you peed? I go, I don't know. And honestly, I don't remember peeing at home. I don't remember peeing at work.
Oh my God.
So the virus that attacked my spinal cord already attacked one of my legs, one leg, the other leg, then my bladder. So my bladder wasn't working. So I couldn't use the bathroom. So she's like, do you know that you could have died? You could have went into shock and died. And I was like, well, I don't know. He sent me home. What am I supposed to do? So she's yelling. People are running everywhere. It's chaos in the ER. They do my MRI and my CAT scan, and they show me the MRI. My spinal cord was so swollen. So usually your spinal cord is just a little tiny cord in your spine. Mine was so swollen from the bottom up, and that every part that was swollen, I couldn't function anymore. So as it was moving up, I kept losing feeling on some part of my body, something,
Oh my
you
God.
know.
Oh my God.
And I was at that hospital. That was the Swedish Covenant. I was there for like probably a week and a half, and they had me on antibiotics and steroids, and then they sent me on an ambulance bus to University of Chicago so I can work with neurologists, specialists, because they have the best specialists.
Let's stop
And
right there. Let's stop right there because I want you to finish and I want to talk about up until this point. So you had gone to a hospital that completely disregarded every symptom that you presented with, saw that you could barely carry yourself in there, saw that you were in a little pain, you had some fatigue there, and they said you had allergies.
He was like, it's just allergies, just like that. It's just allergies. If it gets worse, just come back. And I was like, you're sending me home? And I was like I could not believe it. They closed the hospital.
As they should. And, this is why I wanted to stop, because it is so important. And I need people to understand who is listening that you need to advocate for yourself. I'm so glad you didn't give up, because you were literally on death's door, but you didn't. You knew something, and you asked someone else to take you somewhere else, and that's probably saved your life. But anyone out there listening, you have to advocate for yourself. If you know this is not your norm, if you can hear her, she says, I'm not a person who usually is sick. I don't, I was dragging my feet. She had all these symptoms and was being ignored, which we also have heard, that can be a problem sometimes in healthcare. And so I'm so glad I had to stop there. Also, I wanted to mention, and then we're going to go to the University of Chicago and pick up where you left off, is that I always say what we say, we can manifest in our words. And you told that lady you wanted to retire from breaking at
Yeah.
31. And baby, if this wasn't almost retirement from breaking at 31. So that is another lesson. And I like that we can make light of it, because, that you had gone through it, and you have championed past it. But everybody, we have to watch our words, and that's like such an innocent statement, but like, make it plain. Like, I'd like to retire healthy at 31.
I learned that from that day. I did learn that. But I do have to say that you know your body more than anyone else. If you feel like something is not right, and that gut feeling, that's why I said take me to another hospital. I know something's wrong. Like, I'm not walking. I know it's not allergies. I know that guy's wrong. So take me somewhere else. But you know your body more than anyone. Like, if you feel something's wrong, follow that gut instinct,
Be your voice. Be the voice, advocate for yourself. So now you're at University of Chicago after being at Swedish Government for a week and a half, and they took good care of you. And God bless that nurse for paying attention and getting you what you needed and getting you stabilized. So we're very grateful for her.
But common sense, she was like, why would he let you go home? You have all these symptoms. Like, she's screaming at me, and I'm like, I don't know. Don't scream at me. Don't scream at me. But I get it. She was like, why? If he would have took care of me at that time, my symptoms wouldn't have been so severe, because I still have symptoms from that. If he would have taken care of me at that time, but because he just let it go, it just got worse and worse and worse. So she was just like, what is happening? Why would he? Why?
Thank God for the nurses. The nurses really are the heroes, man. I mean, they see their first line, they make all the world a difference. My sister was a nurse for so long, and we're so grateful for her and our family, because we had a medical incident one time where a doctor wasn't really paying attention, the doctors weren't, and a seasoned nurse came on and made a call, and we are forever grateful for that nurse in our family. So I 100%, my heart's beating while I'm listening to you tell this story, because I know how important those nurses are. So let's go. You got me. I'm locked in. We are at the University of Chicago. I feel like I'm in a movie. Let's go.
Yes. Well, I have to give a shout out to the nurses and teachers. I adore nurses and teachers. They have the hardest job and are the most unappreciated, like I love my mom's a retired nurse, so she took care of me when I was in the wheelchair. So I'm at the University of Chicago. I'm there for like 2-3 weeks, and I'm sponge bathing, and I just want to take a shower at this point. I just want to take a shower. This poor nurse walks in. I just adore her, never remember her name, nothing. She came in, and I'm like, please, can you guys just take me a shower? I just want to feel the water on me, She's like, I can't, I'm sorry. And I literally, and I'm not this person, I'm not a crier. I literally just started crying, and I just put my hands on my face, and I just put my head down, and I started crying. I just wanted a bath. So she looked at me, she felt so bad. She closed the door. She goes, I can get fired for this, but I'm going to take you to take a shower. She put me in the wheelchair. She took me to a big shower room. There was no one in there. It was just open showers. She gave me soap and everything, turned on the water for me. I felt the water come on me. I felt like I was renewed, like revived, you know. So she came in to get me. She goes, you can't tell anyone. I go, I'm not gonna tell no one. No, I'm not gonna tell no one. Please, thank you so much. And I kept thanking her. God is gonna bless you. I was like, thank you so much. You made my day. I just thank you. And I didn't know how much to thank her, but I always had different nurses, so I never really had the same nurses, so I never saw her. But I was so grateful, and I wrote my book. I'm still like editing stuff, but she has a chapter in there because of what she did for me.
Okay.
So I was there, and I remember one time the doctor came in with all his students, and my dad was there. He was here from New York, and the doctors were like, "Sorry, sir, we just want you to know, your daughter's never gonna walk again, whatever." And I was like, "Do you know who I am?" And they look at the chart and they're like, "Ms. Nunez," and I was like, "I'm Lady Champ, and I will be walking." They're like, "But you don't understand how severe this is." I go, "I don't care. I'm gonna figure it out, and I will be walking. Give me 2 weeks." And they were like, "She's crazy." It took me way more than two
I
weeks,
love
but
your
I am walking.
optimism.
Oh, and while I was there, I didn't know my dad believed in God because my dad never really talked about God stuff. Or my dad whispered to me, and he goes, "You don't listen to any doctor. You just believe in your God." And then I looked at him like, "Dad, you know what's up? Like, how do you know this?" I was so impressed.
Good.
So yeah, I learned that my dad believes in God because my dad has passed, but he believes in God.
Oh, God bless them. And I'm glad that you got that
Yeah,
message, and
it was amazing.
yeah, because not everybody's very vocal about it, but internally, they have that relationship, so
Yep,
that was a nice moment between you and your dad.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is a public service announcement to all the guys. Please get your prostate checked because my dad passed away from prostate cancer, and he went to the doctor. He caught it a little early where he could have removed his prostate. He didn't because he was scared. Then it spread to his bones, and he had tumors all over his body when he could have easily got his prostate removed and still been living. My uncle did it. He caught it fast, got it removed. My uncle he's like almost 80. He looks amazing. He works out, he eats right. He looks amazing. So please, guys, get your prostate checked. It's a fast and easy process. We give birth, so stop being big babies.
Yeah.
Just go get it checked.
Say it again for the people in the back, but no, it is important. And men tend not to, keep up their health as much. And we as
They're
women
scared
will
of
go.
everything.
We're spending our time convincing them to do the same, and so we have to do that. But going into it's time for you to be released, and they tell you have to go to a rehab now, right? Because now you're in a wheelchair. Never been in a wheelchair, always had use of your legs. And you go to a rehab to learn how to live in a wheelchair, but you already told them this is temporary, right? And that's why I want to say what you fix your mind to, you had in your mind that this wasn't the end of your walking days, right? So you're in the rehab, what's going on? Or how do you bring yourself back? How do you rehab yourself back to today?
So after the 2 weeks, I was like, okay, I'm still not walking. That's cool. Okay. So I think I was there for 3 weeks. Then they send me to live at the Swab Rehab Center, which is an amazing rehab center. And I always tell people, whether you break a bone or pull a muscle or have a heart attack, stroke, whatever it is that you have to go get rehab for, do it. It's very beneficial. People don't think it is because they have to sit there and do little things repetitively. But when you do things repetitively, that's how you get better. So I was sent to live in the rehab center, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll probably be there for a few days. I was there for like almost 3 months because they were teaching me how to live in a wheelchair. Literally, I would have to go to the store in a wheelchair. I even learned how to do tricks on my wheelchair. I used to work a lot with Red Bull, and I had called them up and I said, listen, I don't know if I'm going to be walking because I thought I was going to be walking and I'm not walking yet, but I am going to join the Paralympics. I'm going to figure out what sport I'm going to be good at. I'm going to pick up 2 or 3. And I need you guys to be my sponsors. They were like, oh my God, Lady Champ, we are going to be your sponsors. We don't care. yes, we're your sponsors. Just let us know what you're gonna do and when you're gonna do it. And I was like, all right. So at the rehab center, they had basketball. So I was in the wheelchair, basketball, and I had gloves. So I would like go real fast and I would do tricks on my wheelchair. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely gonna pick something up. I'm gonna be in the Paralympics. So as I was at the rehab center, I started not getting better, but just training with all the things that they taught me, which were very beneficial. How to get in and out the car, how to get in and out the shower, how to get in and out the toilet, how to get in and out the bed, how to get from the bed to the floor, how to, how to go up and down the stairs, how to go shopping, how to get in and out the bus, how to, everything they taught me was so beneficial. And I love Schwab Rehab Center. And one day when I become a billionaire, I will donate lots of money to them because they need it. They really do need it.
I love it.
I used to teach the psychiatrist had a class, and she would get patients and tell them to eat better or do things right. They wouldn't listen to her. So one day I got in the middle of the circle and I was like, yeah, let me tell you about this. And I was teaching them and they were actually listening to me. She told me, you have a gift. You need to be a speaker. You have something. All those people listen to you. So she would have me teach all her classes. So I was teaching her classes. I was like, yes. And they had questions. And I was like, yes, you need to change your lifestyle. This is why, people have strokes, or this is what happens to your body, this and this and that. It was amazing because they were actually listening, And the sad part about Schwab for me was that every victim there was a gunshot victim, stab victim, heart attack, stroke victim, and I was the only one that had what I had. So I couldn't relate to anyone in that way. But we were still all in wheelchairs, so I could relate to them in that way.
That's it.
Other than that, I can't be like, what were your symptoms? How did you feel? Did you feel this? Oh my God. Couldn't relate to anybody as in that. I did that experience was crazy. The whole Schwab thing. It was sad because when the doctors tell you you're never gonna walk again, I remember strolling in my wheelchair down the hall, and I would say hi to all the patients, like, hi, good morning, hi. Every room that I passed by, everyone had their head down, like their life was over, like that's it. And I was like, no, this is not it. Like, no. So I'll be every morning continuously, hi, good morning, hi. Eventually it became very infectious because everybody would be like, hi, Miss Nunez, hi. And I was like, okay, I got some kind of
a little beacon of light going down the hallway there. You're like a little beacon, and making people pick their chins up.
When they tell you that you're never gonna walk, all those people gave up, and one day, because your rehab is in a big gym. So I could see you doing rehab, I could see you doing rehab, I could see you doing rehab, you could see me doing rehab, we could see each other. So one day I was doing rehab and I had to go from the floor and lift myself and sit on the couch or a chair. And I kept falling because I couldn't reach, because I was like, I felt, when you're paralyzed, it's all dead weight. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't get up there. And I kept getting like close to the edge and I kept falling on the floor. I kept falling and falling and falling. And then my what you call it? My PT, physical therapist. She was like, oh, it's okay. We'll continue tomorrow. I go, no, I can do it. Just give me a few more, at least 3 more. So I went, boom, fell. And then I just, for my mind, I closed my eyes and I thought in my mind, I was like, all you have to do as soon as you get up, just put your head forward and then your butt back and you'll get it. And I was like, okay. So I was like, I held my breath and I went up forward and my butt went back and I sat. And when I sat, I was like, oh, and when I did that, the whole room started clapping because I didn't notice that everybody was watching me. So I was like, oh my God. So they were like, oh my God, Miss Nunez, you did it. And I know this is weird to describe, and I describe this in the book. I felt little arrows of energy coming into me and going out back to them. So that's what I felt. And the next day, when we had therapy in the next morning, every patient was like, Miss Nunez, I saw you trying, so today I'm going to try harder. Miss Nunez, you were amazing. So because you tried, I'm going to try. Miss Nunez, that was so good, Miss Nunez. Oh my God, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I'm going to try hard today. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
That little thing that I did inspired that whole room.
And
That
it
they
wasn't a
were there for
little
years.
thing. It was not a
Yeah,
little thing, by the way. That's a
that's
big
true.
thing. That's a big
That's
thing.
true.
It's,
But
oh my gosh.
the inspiration was insane. And there's patients who live there, and they were like, I've been here so many years, and I'm gonna try hard today. And I was like, the PTs would come to me, the physical therapists, they're like, this person hasn't tried nothing in forever, and you came, and now they're pushing themselves. And I'm like, oh, like that to me is a blessing, because if I can give everywhere I go, if I can leave them with something, then I'm happy.
Yes.
Something positive.
As something positive. And so you were a beacon of light. So you started with being able to get up there and sit, and then you worked your way up. And I think I was I'm getting it mixed up now. I don't know if it was when we were talking or when I was reading about you, researching and looking you up,
Hey.
stalking you a little bit. That you talk about the moment you stand is like you are kind of rocking back and forth, and after, I mean, like you said, this stuff was repetitive. You were going and going and going, and then you kind of like pick yourself up and stand. And I think I must have been reading that, because I was like, whoa, I must have been like, yes, yes, she's standing. And for me to feel that good, I can't even imagine how you were feeling after you had just been, like you said, 3 months, I mean, and don't get me wrong, that's a quick turnaround for something like that, I'm sure. But you, again, from little, you could not ever be told no. And
Mm-hmm.
apparently you're, as an adult, you can't be told no. And
Yep.
so you stood. And how did that feel? Like, I know how it felt for me to read that, but how did it feel for you?
So when I left the rehab center finally after months, I just wanted to go home, because I knew that once I got home, I could have that time and space and energy to myself. I didn't have to worry about anything. I could do this on my time all day, every day. So I knew when I got home, it was just going to be practice, practice, practice. It like, that's it. So I still wasn't walking. I still wasn't standing. I still wasn't. So I get home. I had to put my brakes on the wheelchair, and I had a walker. So they teach you all this in rehab. That's what I'm saying. This is beneficial. So I would lift myself up with my arm, because I'm strong. Remember, I'm breaking and boxing. So I would let go, collapse into the chair. I would get up, collapse into the chair. Get up, collapse into the chair. I would get so frustrated, and I was like, Audi, don't get frustrated, because when you break and you get frustrated, you don't learn to move, because you're angry and you're mad, and then you don't learn. So I started watching videos on breathing techniques and how to meditate. So I would look out the window and just breathe and just meditate and visualize myself. And I was like, okay, I could see myself dancing. Okay, girl. So I would go back to it. Okay, let's go. Stand, collapse, stand, collapse, stand, collapse. When I start getting frustrated, go by the window, or go on my bed and meditate. And eventually one day I stood for 1 second. I just stood for 1 second and collapsed. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a good sign. If I could do 1 second, I could do two. And sure enough, I went from 1 to 2, from 2 to 5, from 5 to 7, from 7 to 9 seconds, standing without falling. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start learning how to take steps. And I would put my foot forward, collapse into the chair. Foot forward, collapse. Breathe. Go breathe. Meditate. Breathe. Come back. Take one step. So eventually, I would go from standing for 10 seconds and taking 1 or 2 steps. When I went from five for like 5 steps, I had chairs all over my house. I had chairs, one chair here, and 5 steps later, I had another chair. 5 steps later, I had another chair. So I called the wheelchair company, and I told them to come pick up the wheelchair, because I didn't need it anymore. And they were like, "Are you crazy? Do you not know that you're like paralyzed?" And I'm like, "It's okay. It's okay. I'm almost walking. I'm getting better. So just pick up the chair." I had to literally fight with them, and they came and got the chair. I didn't want to see it. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't need it. So I had the walker, and I would walk for the 5 steps from here to there, and then from there to there, and there to there. So eventually, I started taking chairs away. So I would have like 7 steps instead of 5 steps. And it was bad because I fell a lot of times. There was one time no one was home and I fell, and there was a bookshelf, and it was a real sharp corner. And I went like this close. I could feel like the just the little edge right here. And when I fell and I looked, I was like, I could have busted my head, probably knocked myself out, bled all over the place, and no one was gonna find me till later because no one was coming home. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. Okay, don't walk around that bookshelf. But I still kept falling here and there,
Note to
but I was
self.
okay. You know, a B girl, I break, so I'm used to falling. I know how to fall.
Yeah.
Um, another thing that also helped me with my therapy was when I would lay on the floor, like sit on the floor, it felt like I was ready to break. So I was like, I felt mentally and physically like, oh, I'm just gonna start breaking. So it kind of like tricked my mind, like feeling like I was okay, you know. So I felt like I was okay, but when I really wasn't. But just the feeling made me like feel right, made me feel good, and it made my brain and my body and my thoughts and my mind and my soul feel good. So I sat a lot on the floor because it was something I love to do and something that made me feel like I can do something again. That was another way of therapy for me.
So it sounds like breaking, which is your foundation, which is, everything kind of made your falls feel familiar. You kind of were prepared for them in a way where, because you had been doing, breaking and doing some things your whole life that kind of prepared you for that. And then that when you were on the ground, because of your breaking, you felt grounded. You felt there was like a familiarity there and you could build from there, which also helped with you mentally, and not just I'm not giving up. The fact that you're so mentally strong, it's kind of hard to be as mentally strong as you are. I have to tell you,
Thank you.
Lady Champ, I've never, I don't think I've, yes, there's some mentally strong, like we're all mentally strong when we need to be, but you really took it to another level, especially when you told them, come get this wheelchair. Girl, you wasn't, come on. You couldn't even walk. I know they were like, really, come get the wheelchair, So you couldn't even walk and you're like out of sight, out of mind. So visualization too. And I wrote this down. You were like, when something is hard, like, you were trying to learn how to walk and then you are creating the next step for yourself, visualization, and then you would do it. And then anger would creep in and you would defer that anger and you would walk away. And when you step away, you would breathe, you would meditate, you would visualize, you would come back. And that was like your circle. And that's how you kind of created just like this path, and you got there. And so you're walking. So you go through this whole thing, you fight to get yourself back. And today you are walking, you are teaching, you are speaking.
Yeah.
So you worked yourself back. And you've said not without, you still have pain, so we're not here on, to talk to people and say, oh, I did it and there's nothing. There's some residual there, right? You still have the pain. You still have numbness in your feet. You still have
bladder issues.
Yeah.
So if I don't go to the bathroom on time, I will have an accident. I can't feel my feet. I can't feel my toes. My knees are weak. It's just a lot. I'm always in pain. So you could see, I actually started swimming a lot now that it's summertime. I never did this like this. I cannot believe the benefits that I'm getting from this.
Oh,
It's
swimming
insane.
is amazing.
It's
I'm telling you, I once broke my foot and didn't know it was broken and kind of stayed on it,
Me too.
working out for like 4 months until I went to the doctor and they were like, are you insane? Like your foot's not even connected. And I was like, what? So you know what it was? Swimming. I was swimming every day. And that it's like the weight of your body is 100% in that water. And so it is rehabbing, except for it's easy on the joint. It's easier than, pounding the pavement or hitting something or running, but that weight resistance is there and that swimming is there. I am 100 with you on that. I'm so 100.
Even my arthritis. I have arthritis in both knees because they told me I was going to have arthritis and I was like, I'm not going to have arthritis. And I do now. and I had bone on one, which is why I don't dance the way I used to. I just like try to do little things here and there. But I cannot believe what swimming is doing to this pain, to the joints, to my body. It's very beneficial. It's insane. Like, I tell anyone who has any issue to do it. Just swim. Get in the water and just swim.
I agree. I agree. And so clearly your story is not one that can be told in a session, but we have today. And I think people can see your tenacity, your strength. And I hope people kind of look you up and look at some of the YouTube things, and they're so much fun, and watch you're talking to the kids at school, and you and I were speaking, and you have a passion for the youth, and we talked about how in Chicago there aren't a lot of places for the kids to go, and some places are not safe, and you would love to be able to create these safe spaces for them, and you do go to the schools, and you do host events, and you do talk to them, and you allow them to showcase their creativity. And one thing that even in all your pain, and even you're working person, you're living your life, but you're also giving back. And that's one thing that I really, really admire about you, is that you haven't given up on the dance and the creativity. You didn't let your adulthood or that part of your life when you couldn't walk deter you from still enjoying and having that love and passion for the creativity and for the arts. And so you have, and we have to, close sooner. You and I will talk about this all day. I mean, so I could talk to you all day. But you have an event coming up, and it's called Battle for the Eagle, and it's on August 7th.
Yes.
And tell us where that is, and tell us a little bit about that event, and who's involved in that, and what types of things that people can expect to see and hear there. It sounds like an amazing event. So where is it, first of all? Where are you?
Okay. So this event is brought to us, for us, by us. So it's Renegades of Funk, Artistic Bombing Crew, Intel Music Crew, Intel Music Group, and myself. We started this event because hip hop gets a lot of bad publicity, and I was like, no, we have to do something. I'm going to show them that we can do an event by us, for us. So I started doing something on Sundays at the Logan Square Eagle. It's on Wrightwood and Kesby in Chicago, where the big statue of the eagle is. And I noticed people were coming by, and I was like, okay. I was going every Sunday. And then I asked one of my DJs, hey, we'll do DJs for free, like just a little hangout spot. He came, people started coming, and I was like, it's getting a little bit tiring every weekend. So I was like, why don't we just do it once a year? So that's how this event was created. And every year it got bigger and bigger and bigger and more successful, and it's free, and it's all ages, and it's you'll see DJs DJing, all different with DJs. You'll see graffiti battle. They put up I don't know what that is, some kind of plastic on trees, and then they have their little battles. Then you go and they judge. Some people judge, and that's how you get your winners. We have a breakdance battle. We have a all styles battle. We have a little kids battle. We have vendors. We have, you name it, we have it. Just bring your lawn chairs, come out and support the event. It's fun. And when I tell you it's fun, people come up to us and they're like, I have never, ever felt so welcome. I have never been to something like this. Next year I'm bringing my whole kids and my family. Next year I'm bringing this person. It's an amazing vibe. We play all different music. It's just really cool vibe.
Fantastic. Because, that's what we need now. We get so much bad news. And, I really do feel like Chicago gets a bad rap because they focus so heavily on things that aren't happy, and I know it's there, and it's real, and we have to get that addressed and make it safe for our kids and our families. But I love that you are hosting this event with other groups of amazing people who have a vision, that want to see people have fun. And I remember growing up, I remember hip hop, and, I remember the breaking days and watching the movies, and it was fun. it was like,
Yeah.
were people on opposite sides? Yes, but they were battling, they were dancing, for Pete's sake. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, it wasn't,
And
it
and you're
wasn't just,
exchanging skills, and you're having an
yeah,
outlet also, and then the kids don't have this anymore. So every time we do this event, it's like it people are just like, I'm coming next year and I'm bringing more people. I'm coming next year and I'm entering the competition. I'm coming next year and I'm bringing my mom. Like, people just love this event, and I
right.
just want to keep it going. It's so far pretty good, pretty successful, and I just want to make it bigger and better. That's our goal, to make it bigger and better.
Well, one thing I'm going to say to you is I have had the most amazing time talking to you today. And I am in such awe of your positivity, your no quit, your resilience, and that you had gone through, a dark time, uncertain time, but it was never dark for you, I don't think. I think it was uncertain, but it wasn't dark. Where some it would have been dark, your light continued to shine. And, you're just, amazing to talk to. And I want to repeat again that if anybody wants to experience your joy and your sunshine and what your vision for, happy and positive environment might be, that they do come out to the Battle of the Eagle. And it is in, where is it again? Tell them.
It's on Wrightwood and Kedzie. It's a big, you won't miss it. It's a big statue of an eagle. It's really, really big. You
Right.
can't miss all the people. It's August 7th, Sunday, August 7th. And then I have a few more projects coming up after that. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'm very proud of these projects.
Tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram so they can follow you and see your projects.
I believe it's Lady Champion 1. And then on Facebook, Auristela Lady Champ Nunez. I have two of them, but one of them I don't use often. I should close it. Because people were like, "You're not my friend," and I'm like, "I could only have 5,000 friends, so I can't add you." So I had to add another one so that I could add people. But yeah, you can find me on Snapchat. You can find me everywhere. Yeah, right now I'm just working on looking for a sponsor to help me sponsor my book. It's called Heart of a Champion, and it's my story about overcoming paralysis.
Overcoming paralysis, just overcoming. So Heart of a Champion, I cannot wait to read your book. I know it'll be a good one. Everybody, let's battle for the Eagle, August 7th, Kedzie and Wrightwood in the city. And remember, before we leave us with one of your favorite quotes. Now, I wrote two down that I thought when you were talking but one, you weren't talking. One, I saw you speaking, and you said, you can make the impossible possible. You were telling the kids, you can make the impossible possible. And then another one you said was, practice makes perfect. So why don't you end us on the note with your favorite one and why?
I would say it's that one, practice makes perfect, because it really does. It doesn't matter what you do, you just study and practice, study and practice. You fail, figure out a different way to do it. Like when I was learning moves, I couldn't do it this way, but I figured out a different way. I was like, oh, if I turn my leg that way, oh, it don't make sense. Practice, don't give up. And sometimes it feels like you're never going to get there, but then when you get there, you're like, oh my God, it's so easy. Just continue, push yourself. You got to push yourself. Don't give up.
Well, you're the queen of pushing yourself, and thank you so much for your time. And it was such a good time talking to you.
Oh my God.